The roar of an $80 million supercar suddenly turned into a deafening explosion of sparks just minutes before its global unveiling. Engineers ran in panic, executives shouted conflicting orders, and cameras broadcasting the event live captured every terrifying second. Standing in the middle of the chaos was a grease-covered single-father mechanic holding nothing more than a wrench. Before anyone could explain what had happened, the company's powerful CEO publicly blamed him for destroying the most expensive project in the company's history. Security immediately escorted him out of the building while hundreds of employees watched in silence. None of them realized the humiliated mechanic was the only person alive who truly understood the heart of that revolutionary machine. Before this emotional journey continues, if you believe kindness, respect, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise. Your support helps us continue creating inspiring stories that remind us never to judge someone by appearances. Gavin Mercer had spent the last 8 years raising his young son, Elias, completely alone after losing his wife during a sudden medical emergency. Life changed overnight. Instead of pursuing promotions and prestigious engineering awards, Gavin chose stability over ambition so he could be present for every school recital, every doctor appointment, and every bedtime story. He accepted a simple position as a senior garage mechanic at Vortex Hypercars, one of the world's most respected performance automotive companies. Most employees believed he had always repaired engines for a living. They saw oil-stained coveralls, worn work boots, and tired hands shaped by years of physical labor. Very few knew that before tragedy entered his life, Gavin had been one of the company's brightest automotive engineers. Years earlier, Gavin had led the development of an experimental cooling architecture capable of delivering record-breaking performance while protecting ultra-high-output electric motors from overheating. His innovative design became the technical foundation of Project Eclipse, the company's secret hypercar program valued at more than $80 million. But after stepping away from engineering to care for his wife during her illness, Gavin quietly requested a transfer to the service division. He refused repeated offers to return because working predictable daytime hours allowed him to raise Elias with the love and attention his late wife had always dreamed their son would receive. Everything changed when Adrian Sinclair became the new CEO. Brilliant, determined, and respected throughout the automotive industry, Adrian inherited enormous pressure after the company's founder retired unexpectedly. Investors demanded rapid growth, competitors released increasingly advanced vehicles, and every board meeting revolved around ambitious financial targets. Hoping to modernize the organization, Adrian introduced strict departmental rules. Engineers focused on research, mechanics handled repairs, executives managed strategy, and no employee was permitted to cross departmental responsibilities. While the policy improved efficiency on paper, it slowly erased the collaboration that had once defined the company's greatest achievements. One bright morning beneath clear blue skies, excitement filled the entire Vortex campus. International journalists, wealthy collectors, racing legends, and investors from around the world gathered for the official unveiling of Project Eclipse. The revolutionary hypercar promised to redefine electric performance forever. Months of secrecy, billions in investment, and the future of the company depended upon a flawless demonstration. Just 30 minutes before the presentation, warning alarms echoed through the engineering center. Thick white vapor escaped from beneath the rear body panels as the prototype suddenly shut itself down. Computer systems displayed conflicting error messages while engineers rushed from one workstation to another searching desperately for the cause. Every passing minute increased the possibility of complete public humiliation before the world's media. Gavin happened to be servicing hydraulic lifts inside the neighboring workshop when he heard the unmistakable rhythm of coolant cavitation inside the prototype. He stopped instantly. Years earlier, he had spent thousands of hours listening to that exact sound during development. Without even seeing the diagnostic screens, he recognized the problem. A tiny imbalance inside the secondary thermal circulation system was creating dangerous pressure fluctuations capable of disabling the entire vehicle. Respectfully approaching the engineering team, Gavin quietly offered a possible solution. Exhausted engineers barely acknowledged him. To them, he was simply another mechanic who could not possibly understand one of the most advanced vehicles ever created. Yet as confusion spread and valuable minutes disappeared, one frustrated technician finally stepped aside, allowing Gavin a brief look beneath the rear access panel. Within moments, Gavin located a microscopic manufacturing tolerance issue inside a coolant distribution valve. Using nothing more than a precision adjustment tool from his worn toolbox, he corrected the alignment, recalibrated the pressure balance manually, and closed the panel. Seconds later, the prototype restarted perfectly. Every warning light disappeared. The powerful electric drivetrain awakened with the smooth, unmistakable sound Gavin remembered from the very first successful prototype years ago. Before anyone could ask how he accomplished the impossible, Adrian entered the development center surrounded by executives and investors. The first thing she saw was a garage mechanic standing beside the company's most valuable prototype while senior engineers watched silently. Believing company policy had been deliberately violated, she immediately concluded that Gavin had interfered with confidential engineering work. Without asking a single question, she publicly accused him of risking an $80 million project through unauthorized actions. The crowded engineering center became completely silent. Journalists raised their cameras. Employees lowered their eyes. Gavin made no attempt to defend himself. He quietly removed his identification badge, gathered his old toolbox, and followed security toward the exit, leaving behind the very machine whose heartbeat he understood better than anyone else in the building. As the demonstration continued successfully without him, Adrian believed she had protected company discipline. But hidden inside the original engineering archives was one forgotten file bearing Gavin Mercer's signature, a document that would soon reveal the greatest mistake of her entire career. The unveiling of Project Eclipse began beneath brilliant afternoon sunlight as cameras from around the world broadcast every moment live. Adrian Sinclair stood proudly on stage while the silver hypercar accelerated across the test circuit with breathtaking speed. Investors applauded, journalists cheered, and the board congratulated itself for securing the future of Vortex hypercars. For a brief moment, it seemed that the crisis had passed and the company had survived its most dangerous day. Then the car suddenly lost power halfway through a high-speed demonstration. The cooling system overheated, warning lights flooded the dashboard, and the prototype rolled to a stop in front of thousands of stunned spectators. Engineers rushed onto the track while television commentators struggled to explain what had happened. The temporary adjustment Gavin had made earlier had prevented immediate failure, but the deeper calibration problem remained hidden inside the system. Without the original architect of the technology, no one could stabilize the vehicle. Back inside headquarters, panic spread through every department. Investors threatened to withdraw funding, reporters demanded answers, and the board accused Adrian of hiding critical information. As engineers searched desperately through old development records, a junior technician discovered a sealed archive containing the original Project Eclipse documents. Every major breakthrough carried the same signature: Lead Systems Engineer Gavin Mercer. The room fell silent. The man fired only hours earlier had designed the very cooling architecture they were trying to repair. Adrian felt her stomach sink. She remembered the quiet mechanic carrying a worn toolbox and realized she had never bothered to learn his story. Filled with regret, she left the boardroom and drove through the city searching for him. She finally found Gavin in his small workshop behind a modest house, carefully helping his son Elias finish a wooden model car for a school project. The contrast between the chaos of the corporate world and the peace of that little workshop broke something inside her. Adrian apologized sincerely. She admitted that she had judged him by his uniform, ignored his experience, and humiliated him in front of the entire company. Gavin listened quietly while sanding a small piece of wood beside his son. After a long silence, he explained that losing his engineering career had never been the greatest sacrifice of his life. The hardest part had been watching his wife fade away while knowing he could not save her. After her death, every decision he made was for Elias. He accepted a simpler position because being home each evening mattered more than titles, bonuses, or recognition. Elias looked up and asked whether the beautiful silver car was sick. Gavin smiled gently and nodded. The little boy then said something that neither adult would ever forget: if someone built the car, then that person should help it feel better. Those innocent words carried more wisdom than all the arguments happening inside the boardroom. Gavin closed his toolbox, kissed his son's forehead, and agreed to return to Vortex one final time. When Gavin entered the engineering center that evening, exhausted employees stepped aside without being asked. He moved through the workshop like a man returning to an old home. Studying the diagnostics for only a few minutes, he identified the real problem, a hidden resonance inside the secondary coolant manifold that appeared only during sustained high-speed operation. Years earlier, he had designed a backup calibration specifically to prevent this failure, but the feature had been removed during a later cost-saving revision after he transferred departments. Working through the night with the engineers, Gavin rebuilt the calibration, modified the pressure algorithm, and personally supervised every test until dawn. As the first rays of sunlight entered the garage, Project Eclipse came alive once more. The car completed every stress test flawlessly, running cooler and faster than before. Engineers erupted in applause, some with tears in their eyes. Many of them had studied Gavin's old designs in university and never imagined they would one day work beside the man himself. Adrian watched quietly from the back of the garage, understanding that true leadership meant listening before judging. That afternoon, Adrian gathered the entire company. Standing before thousands of employees and the world's media, she publicly accepted responsibility for her mistake. She apologized to Gavin for humiliating him and announced that Vortex would restore his full recognition as the founding engineer of Project Eclipse. The crowd rose to its feet as giant screens displayed the forgotten photographs of a younger Gavin working beside the company's earliest prototypes. To everyone's surprise, Gavin declined the offer to become chief executive engineer. Instead, he accepted a new role mentoring young designers and technicians while keeping a schedule that allowed him to spend afternoons with Elias. He explained that success meant little if it cost the moments that mattered most. Inspired by his example, Adrian changed company policy forever. Mechanics, engineers, designers, and executives would once again collaborate as one team because innovation was born when people respected each other regardless of their titles. Months later, Project Eclipse won international awards and became the most successful vehicle in the company's history. Yet the achievement Gavin cherished most was much smaller. One evening, after finishing work early, he sat in the front row of Elias's school science fair and watched his son proudly present a handmade model car inspired by his father's designs. As applause filled the room, Gavin realized that while he had helped build an $80 million supercar, the greatest thing he would ever create was the life and character of the boy smiling beside him. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise for more inspiring stories. Special request: please comment, respect people before judging them. As the sun set over the Vortex test track, Adrian looked at the silver hypercar gliding silently across the asphalt and understood a lesson she would carry forever. The most valuable person in the room is not always the one wearing the finest suit. Sometimes, it is the quiet single father with grease on his hands, a tired smile on his face, and a heart strong enough to build both a champion machine and a loving home. The remarkable success of Project Eclipse quickly spread throughout the automotive world. Newspapers praised the revolutionary technology, but the story that captured people's hearts was not the $80 million supercar. It was the quiet mechanic who had been dismissed, only to return and save the company without asking for revenge. Messages of support poured in from former employees, engineering students, and families inspired by Gavin Mercer's humility. His story reminded thousands of people that true greatness often works silently behind the scenes. Adrian Sinclair refused to let Gavin's contributions fade into history again. She ordered the company's Hall of Innovation to be completely redesigned, placing Gavin's name alongside every major breakthrough he had created over the years. During a special ceremony attended by employees and industry leaders, she admitted that the greatest mistake of her career had not been a technical decision but judging a person by a job title instead of character. Her honesty transformed the culture of Vortex hypercars. Employees no longer feared speaking up, and every idea was welcomed regardless of where it came from. Gavin remained the same humble man he had always been. Every afternoon he left the headquarters on time to pick up Elias from school. They spent evenings building wooden model cars together, laughing over homework, and sharing simple family dinners. Although he could have accepted a fortune in bonuses and executive benefits, he chose a balanced life over endless ambition. He had already learned the painful truth that time with loved ones is the one treasure money can never replace. Inspired by Gavin's example, Adrian launched the Mercer Family Scholarship, helping children of single parents pursue careers in engineering and skilled trades. She also introduced a company-wide mentorship program where experienced mechanics and engineers worked side by side, proving that innovation grows strongest when respect replaces pride. Within a few years, Vortex became known not only for building extraordinary vehicles but also for building extraordinary people. One sunny afternoon, Vortex unveiled the production version of Project Eclipse before a global audience. This time, Adrian refused to stand alone on the stage. Instead, she invited Gavin and Elias to join her. As father and son walked into the spotlight together, thousands of people rose to their feet in a standing ovation. Gavin looked down at Elias, whose eyes sparkled with pride, and realized that every sacrifice, every difficult decision, and every lonely night had been worth it. When the applause finally faded, Gavin understood that his greatest achievement had never been designing the world's fastest supercar. It had been becoming the kind of father his son would always admire. The trophies, awards, and recognition would one day gather dust, but the love, integrity, and example he gave Elias would continue for generations. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise for more emotional stories that inspire hope. Special request, please comment, true greatness begins with humility. As the golden afternoon sun reflected across the polished silver body of Project Eclipse, Adrian smiled, knowing the company had gained far more than a successful supercar. It had rediscovered the value of compassion, respect, and the extraordinary strength of an ordinary father who never stopped doing the right thing, even when no one was watching.